Ano ai ke aloha ya kākou. Thank you for joining us today. Today is the final bill signing of the 2026 bill signing season. In just a few moments, Governor Josh Green will sign a bill to establish safety standards for electric bicycles and other vehicles. Facilitated questions and answers with media will follow promptly after remarks conclude, and the formal bill signing will commence shortly thereafter. And without further ado, it is my honor to welcome Governor Josh Green.
Thank you, guys. Aloha. So as we come now to the end of our bill signing season, first I just want to say thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being so interested in the democratic process. Thank you, House and Senate members, for having a phenomenal session and for passing bills that really will help people in their lives. Many bills that we passed were directed at affordability. Those, in some ways, drew a lot of attention because about taxes going down and trying to build more houses. And then we went through all sorts of other bills that advocate for people. And I'm reminded that we're working on environmental issues together. We're working on issues that help people get health care. I mean, there's so many things that even didn't get mentioned that could have been phenomenal. We didn't talk a lot about the fact that we're making sure the Affordable Care Act stays intact and people have affordable health care. Then we talked a lot about colonoscopies, So it's a little hit or miss sometimes, but you guys really did a lot of important work, so thank you for that. Today we're going to have a bill that supports safety for people, e-bike safety, and there's a lot of people to thank. I'm going to single out one individual in particular, and that's Representative Kila. Thank you so much for doing what legislators need to do, which is be persistent and go after an issue and take input from a lot of people. Darius came to us with these bills because he saw people get hurt. He knew people had died. And the biggest tragic moment in anybody's life is to hear that their child got hurt or their nephew or niece got hurt or worse. That's what I experienced in the ER for all those years. That was the one thing that no one ever could get used to. And so he was on this and making sure that we got the bill right and we got people motivated to do meaningful legislation. So thank you. You have great colleagues. Chris comes to every bill signing, it seems, and gives a speech. So we can ignore him today. We're grateful to you, Chris. Thank you. But Darius, this one is for you. Thank you for being persistent. And then we're going to hear from Travis, counsel, who owns 14 bikes. That sounds crazy. It's actually a way to help society, to bike, to conserve energy, to not burn fuel, and to be a part of the outdoors and be healthy, and then to guide us on safety. So it's fantastic. So thank you, brother. So now we go to what this bill is. House Bill 2021. This sets standards, safety standards for e-bikes. A lot of people, especially last year, lost their lives. And a lot of the accidents were connected, as Ed has shared with me in DOT, because people weren't safe enough. And perhaps they didn't have helmets on. Perhaps they were traveling at a very high rate of speed without protection. And there's, of course, a million other reasons people have disastrous outcomes. Usually it's because of something we do as people. 80% of all fatalities are connected in some way to our behavior, high speed, or not being safe enough. So this bill really is going to go a long way to protect people's lives. And even just the information that Darius and the House and Senate have put out and the Department of Transportation has already, I believe, had a very big impact. We are down by about 50% this year alone as compared to last year. And we just hope that trend really continues. This bill sets basic safety standards and age requirements, including helmet rules for those who are on e-bikes and electric vehicles. It clarifies where these devices can operate and what you have to do for registration. And we're also going to do a lot of information for people. Look at the next slide and you'll see the specifics. Oh, no, sorry. Go back. I have more specifics in my notes. No specifics there. The specifics are we did an executive order because Darius and Senator wanted us to make sure we were out ahead of some of the details quickly. We were responding to those accidents, but now you're going to have to wear a helmet up to age 18. if you're on an e-bike. It's very important. It's got to have a buckle under it so that helmet doesn't fly off when you're going 37 miles an hour, which you shouldn't be doing, okay? Other specifics in the bills, that's where we're going to have our experts come in. Nobody under 15 shall operate an electric foot scooter or electric micromobility device on a highway, street, or roadway. These are basic, important things that the team came up with. You got to wear that helmet, as we said, and no person shall operate an electric bicycle on a public roadway, sidewalk, or bike facility unless it's been properly registered. And that the teams that are planners have worked out where it's safe to be on these vehicles. We want to help the police, who they don't want to see anyone get hurt. And the worst thing for a police officer or a firefighter is to respond and see a terrible, tragic head injury. So again, good on you for passing through all the committee processes. Now we can go to the obligatory sign waving session. Stop and think before you do anything dangerous on the roads, because your kids depend on you to be out there raising them. If you're an adult, don't hurt yourself. And if you're a young person, please take to heart. We only want what is safest so that you can have a lifetime on any number of bikes, electric bikes, all across our state safely. So again, thank you guys. This is a really special way to end the session. Aloha.
Mahalo, Governor. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Chris Lee, Chair of the Senate Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts.
Aloha, and thank you so much, Governor, for setting the stage, not just here for this ceremony, but for all the work that DOT and the agencies and everybody else has done to this point. E-bikes, as we know, are relatively a new phenomenon. They're new technology and innovative technology, but what they represent is, on the good side, one of the fastest, easiest ways for families to reduce their cost of transportation, enabling folks who have obligations where parents have to drive to work, kids have to get to school, kupuna have to get to the store and back, to be able to do things a little more independently, more cheaply, and to go further than they previously could have. The average family spends somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000 a year on the cost of owning a car. And when families have to have a car for every member of the family, that is a considerable burden. And in some communities in Hawaii, unfortunately, families spend somewhere between 30 to 40%, often on average, for the cost of transportation of their household income. That is huge. That is something that we need to do something about, and this is one of those measures that can meaningfully, immediately start to shift those costs and reduce them and give people new tools and new options to be able to get around more cheaply. The problem, as I'm sure we'll hear and have heard, is when people abuse these tools. And you have folks doing things that are dangerous and not acting appropriately in accordance with the law, our infrastructure, and everything else that's done. There's going to be a lot more to be heard about that shortly, but I really just want to spend this moment to thank those who helped make this possible. In particular, Representative Kila, whom last year when I was Transportation Chair in the Senate, we had a lot of work put into this issue. It carried over to this year, but we didn't forget about it, and he didn't forget about it. It's kind of like riding a bike. You just get right back on. And, thanks to his leadership and our new Transportation Chair in the Senate, Senator Inouye, and our other chairs and the various committees that the measures passed through, this measure is now possible to be signed into law. I also want to give credit to our Department of Transportation and all the folks doing the good work, keeping our public safe and providing new and safer places for people to bike and to be able to get around. And at the same time to the city and county and the work that they're doing here and the other counties as well. And most of all, the public and organizations like the Hawaii Bicycling League and others who are doing the real boots on the ground outreach to educate people about how to be safe, how to use these innovative tools, and ultimately how to have a good time doing it, but not too good a time. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who made this possible. Thank you to the governor for signing this, and ride on, everyone.
Mahalo, Senator Lee. Now please welcome Representative Darius Kila, Chair of the House Committee on Transportation.
Aloha and good afternoon. Good afternoon at this point. I sincerely just want to first off by start thanking Governor Green. This was a measure that has been a year and a half in the making, and I want the folks to know that I want to speak for him, and I'm sure he's going to agree. When he issued the veto last year, it was the hardest veto he's done because he knows how much work went into this measure. But from that veto till today, we have not stopped talking about road safety. This governor cares about energy, this governor cares about our environment, but this governor also cares about road safety. And that's where you folks saw the traffic emergency executive order come out last September. And that laid the framework for us to come into next legislative session to make sure we got it right. And allowing us that extra session actually allowed us to go even further. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without my House and Senate counterparts who are really working to see a path forward on this measure. I have law enforcement in the room because they are going to be the teeth to make sure that what we are passing is enforceable. And we had to pass something that they could work with. And I'm looking at our city council partners as well. Council member Dos Santos Tam is already prepping their ordinances to match this law. And so this last interim, you folks saw death after death. And every time myself, Director Sniffen, Governor Green, Senator Lee, we always get asked what we're going to do, and this is our attempt at trying to do something better. Speaker Nakamura authored the first legislation of e-bike modernization, and now 8 years later after the fact, I have the opportunity to modernize that. And so what we're walking away with today is trying to make sure, one, every person riding an electric mobility device, a bicycle, is safe. But two, there is now just an inherent kuleana on all of us to be very attentive to our roadways, our partners. And this is my message to the parents. There is now a very clear kuleana responsibility. And if you are going to purchase this device for your youth, you're going to purchase this for your child, you are very much responsible to making sure that they know the rules and laws of the road, even as far as direct supervision. We don't want them to not have fun. I don't want you folks to not feel like this is an opportunity for you folks to travel safely and still have fun while doing it. But one death is too many, and everyone is always sorry after the fact. So instead of being sorry, I want us to be proactive. So this is our chance to do it. There's an amazing provision in the bill that the Department of Transportation now has 120 days to work out the rules, framework, labeling requirements for all sellers in the state to make sure that they're complicit with this new law as well. So as we head into what is known as the 100 most deadly days of summer, or wherever we're at now, this is our reminder that we all use the road. Just because I don't ride a bike, that doesn't mean I don't want someone riding a bike to get there safely. DOT is doing amazing work on modernizing our roads to add bike lanes for every single person to get there safely. So whether you're in a car, a bike, a pedestrian, crossing the street, let's all arrive alive together. And I just want to extend my sincere mahalo to the legislature, our law enforcement partners, our county, Governor Green, and let's continue the great work. And I look forward to seeing this come into fruition, and mahalo again.
Saw how high it was. Mahalo, Representative Kila. Our final speaker, please welcome Travis Council, Executive Director of the Hawaii Bicycle League.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm not as prepared of public speaker, so I have some notes, so bear with me for a second. But my name's Travis Council, Executive Director of the Hawaii Bicycling League. We're a local 52-year-old nonprofit organization focused on creating more spaces and safer places for people to ride bicycles. This bill represents much more than just a policy update. It represents years of collaboration across the state, the counties, community members, law enforcement agencies, retailers, advocates, and so many more, who came together with a shared vision of creating a safer future and cleaner future for electric mobility in Hawaii. I'd also especially like to mahalo Rep. Kila for his steadfast championing of this bill over the past several years. It's come together to create a very thoughtful and balanced framework that will be benefiting our communities for years to come. As Senator Lee said, electric transportation has evolved rapidly in recent years, and our laws needed to evolve with it. This law modernizes the electric bicycle laws by updating the 3 classes, as well as for the first time creating a very clear definition of what is not an electric bicycle. Many of the issues we see on our roadways are what's called a high-speed electric device, or e-moto. These kind of devices that are not legally something on our road currently, and often goes much faster and much more powerful than an electric bike or other device was intended to be. It also gives very clear power to our law enforcement to help regulate those non-conforming and otherwise not allowed devices on our roadways. It also makes common sense updates, as Governor Green mentioned, around helmet requirements for anybody under 18 across most of these devices, whether it's bicycles, e-bikes, foot scooters, etc. If you're under 18, you must wear a helmet, as well as creating consistent standards for labeling, rentals, and safe operation. This collaborative effort certainly doesn't end today. I do want to mahalo Council Member Dos Santos Tam for his Bill 41 at the City Council that updates the county's ordinances to follow this state law. We've also worked with the neighbor island counties as well, councils as well, to hopefully work on that same thing on the neighbor islands. At Hawaii Bicycling League, as I mentioned, our mission is to enable more people to ride bicycles. That's for health, recreation, and transportation. And clear regulations like those in this bill help remove the confusion, build confidence, and encourage more people to choose the affordable, healthy, and sustainable transportation options. This also helps support Hawaii's broader commitments to reducing transportation emissions and aligning with the excellent vision outlined in the Navahine settlement. Passing this bill is the first step. The role HBL really sees is the education component. Thanks to a grant from the Department of Transportation, we provide free electric bike 101 classes. You can learn more at our website, hbl.org, as well as do a number of different community events to help spread this word. And we look forward to continuing to work with our state and other partners to educate the public and hopefully successfully implement these new laws. I also want to give a special mahalo to another member who's standing in the audience, retired Major James Slater, who was previously with HPD. He has helped champion this from the inside of HPD and now at the Traffic Commanders meeting, a statewide organization meeting that we're going to be presenting a lot of this information at later this month. So again, the collaborative effort is really what I want to emphasize here, where we can all work together to create safer streets, stronger communities, and a future where more people feel confident walking, biking, and rolling where they want to get. So mahalo and thank you.
Mahalo, Travis. At this time, we'd like to invite the governor back up to the podium to respond to a question from Andrew Gromes, Honolulu Star-Advertiser.
Thank you. I wanted to know, compared with last year's bill, and this might get into details, I'm not sure if Representative Kila can answer. Compared with last year's bill, are there any kind of upgrades with regard to safety language or terms, or was that all essentially the same?
Yeah, it was, I'm deferring to Darius. He was able to confirm what I thought. No, it was basically the same. We just had a couple definitional changes that we had to clarify. That was it. And a lot of times when you're being very innovative and you're in a new area of policy, it's very important to get all those definitions clear, and that's just what we had to do. You know, I was thinking about not just your question, but as the speakers went through of what this has been like. You know, this year we had to deal with AI, which, you know, Chair Tarnas and Senator Ke'o Okolole and all the gang was really working hard. And there are a lot of very complex definitions for new technologies. That was why it was challenging to produce, groundbreaking legislation in that space. And the same thing can be said about e-bikes and new modes of transportation. So as we're starting into some of these really society-changing forces, it's more work for the legislative bodies. And so I'm really glad that they took that extra moment. What happened was Bill was looking at some of the definitions. We wanted to get clarifications. Then Darius came to me and said, okay, if we're not going to do the bill right now, can you do an executive order to make sure that we're taking a really good incremental step on safety? We did that in September, and that was something we could do without all having to come back to the legislature for a special session, and then they accelerated this bill now. And I'll just remind people, I know, Andrew, this wasn't one of your questions, but the average length of time to pass a bill is probably 5 to 7 years as big new concepts come out. And so they really worked hard on this to get it done this fast.
Mahalo, Governor. At this time, I'd like to invite our state legislators and other key stakeholders for the formal bill signing and subsequent picture taking.
How you feel?
Stand too.
Thank you. So just last couple comments. We're going to sign HB 2021 together, and this will keep people alive. You know, it really helps move us forward for the people we love, who are young especially, and who are taking the opportunity to not need a car, but instead to get around in a very efficient way. And special kudos to everyone out there who is conserving energy, who is on a bike, who's walking to work, who's thinking about this kind of opportunity and contributing to solutions in society just through their own life decisions. That we are grateful for, to all the people of Hawaii that especially make that choice. But now we're going to sign this bill, and mahalo, Darius and team, for working so hard. Thank you both.
This concludes our final bill signing of the season. Mahalo e malama.